And welcome to webdesigner-resource.com web video series. That's webdesigner-resource.com. Today's video covers WooCommerce. This is our third video in the WooCommerce setup, and this is assuming that you have a WooCommerce theme. We have Wootique, which is a free theme from Woothemes. That's woothemes.com. And we have the WooCommerce plugin installed. So we're going to go right into Settings. And we've covered the General tab, the Catalog tab, and now we're going to hit the Pages tab. Now, your first thing you're going to see is the page setup. Now, page setup, the first one is the Shop Base page. Now, these pages should already have been created if you went through the automatic process. So you have the Shop page. Now, you can choose if you decide to set up your own Shop page. Now, you can also decide how you want it to appear. By default, it's all products, but you could just change that to our. Say our store. You can also add a terms page. You need to create that before you go in here and choose it, and whether or not you want a login, a logout link from within the My Account. Now, permalinks. This all has to do with permalinks. If you're not familiar with that, we'll just go over it real briefly. By default, the permalink for the shop is shop. So if you want to change that to say products, that's where you could basically come in here and change this. You got the product category slug, the product tag slug, and you have the option of prepending the permalinks with the shop base page, or prepend the product permalinks with the product subcategory. Again, it's personal preference, really depends on you. Some people like it organized a specific way. Again, up to you. And the shop pages, these are the other pages for WooCommerce. Again, all these should have been created automatically if you chose the automatic option in WooCommerce. So there's no need to go and change these unless you decide to create your own for some reason. Then you can just come in and choose one of the existing pages and make sure that you save your changes. That was a pretty easy one. So we're going to go right into inventory. Now, inventory, you only have a few options here, but most of these are about stock management. If you're using digital products or you don't really want to care to do stock management, you don't have to do anything at all to this page. You can come in here and look at manage stock. Again, if you want to manage it, click here. If you don't, uncheck it. You won't be prompted with any of those stock items or in stock items. Notifications, whether you want to be notified of low or out of stock items. The low stock threshold, so once the item reaches this threshold and you have this enabled, you'll get a little email saying, hey, we're low, order more. And the out of stock threshold, again, this is set to 0 by default. You might want to set it to 1 because once it's down to 1, that could go at any time. Out of stock visibility, check here if you want to hide the out of stock items. Personally, I don't like to do that. I'd prefer them to stay there. It's up to you, really a personal preference. And since it's so small, we're going to move right on to tax. Now it's asking me to leave page because I did not save it. So I'm just going to save it. There we go. Now we can click on tax. And we can decide whether or not we want to enable tax and tax calculations. If you're using digital products, again, you really need to check with your state, local, federal tax codes to see whether or not you need to be collecting tax. Depending on the new laws that passed, all internet sites may be required to collect tax depending on where, depending on the local or state level taxes that exist. So that could get very, very complex. You can also display taxes on the cart page when they're signing out, like a lot of sites do. Once they enter their zip code or their state, it will display whether or not the tax is being displayed. You can display taxes even when they amount to 0, or you can round tax at subtotal subtotal level instead of per line. And you can also have the catalog prices defined including tax. Personal preference, some people like to have whatever amount the customer sees, that's what they're going to end up paying. Some people would prefer to have a lower price. Really personal preference. You can set the tax rates down here, and you can set local tax rates. Again, just save the changes when you're done. And we're going to stop there, and we're going to cover the shipping, payment gateways, emails, and integration at a later time. Thank you for joining us here at webdesigner-resource.com. Come out and check out our site. We'd love to hear from you.